She hit the head on the nail. We're gonna get it started here in about 3-4 minutes, family. Keep sending the link out. Oh man, I'm ready. Excited. This episode is about to be viral, no cap. You guys are gonna know why after, right? But it's gonna be viral. I already feel it. Alright. So in terms of that, send this link out to anybody that you know likes to just get some saucy ass lessons. I think we're gonna have a couple setups that we're gonna go over as well. So drop in the chat where you guys are tuning in from, but we're gonna get it started here in about 3-4 minutes, family.
Chasing for a name, broke as fuck. If you came from nothing, put your rollie on and hold it up. Paper route, hockey team, don't know nobody cold as us. Cutto be the gang, that's what I bang, nobody holding us. Real stand up, nigga, don't see myself folding up. We turned her into diamonds and I'm trying to turn these boys to dust. Fuck this money and these cars and clothes, this shit don't mean that much. Yup, I made a couple million plus to twist my fingers up. I don't give no fuck about no bitch, a bitch gon' eat it up. Either way, I'ma get mine, I don't play. I rip the 5, not the 6, but I still keep a Drake. Got money all up on my mind, can't have no bitch in my face. Yeah, all I see is dollar signs and niggas on the side hating. Little bitches, little cheerleaders. That's how niggas is.
Can't get this by niggas we shot at. My one and I get it, I buy that. Smoking on bro, might die if you try that. When your little bro creep, we hide that. Got me some bready, I move to official. But it's wish I could shoot at who with you. My bitch in their bag and my money ain't little. I'm up a Chanel like I'm coming to get you. Niggas who mention me turning to history. Where the killers be, they cannot get to me. Knock on my hip, no, I'm bringing that bitch with me. If you love me, then sure, just stick with me. I keep a stick with me, niggas be sick of me. I told bro he gon' die if he snitch on me. Smoking on dead, I'll be yelling out spit for me. If you miss me, then shows you dip for me. I'ma start trying to shine the limelight. Smoke a blunt, give me high, got my mind right, bro. Did a crime, then I'm blind by the eyesight. If you miss me again, we gon' try twice. Got me some birdie, I'm new to official. But it's wish I could shoot at who with you. My bitch in the bag and my money ain't little. I'm up a Chanel like I'm coming to get you. Bro need an app, I said not in a hurry. If you need it, I got you, don't worry. Cartier vision no longer be blurry. Don't pass it like Joker, the orders like Maury. Real shit next line, I'm not joking. My bro die, niggas die cause they smoking. For the brag and I'm going, they be loafing. 12 gon' watch, why the fuck is you posting? Vision no tunnel, won't crash, no dummy. But it's killer, be killer if it's money. How many rappers got turned to a ducky? Bitch, I might up if you look at me funny. Oppers get hit and they live, they lucky. Fuck a thou with a rubber, no ducky. Got left from rapping, now bitches they want me. How could you leave me? Told me you love me, now I just might come to the scene in a rave. But a baddie, I'm an MBK. She was so pretty, I gave her a taste. If she needs some titties, I pay. Now cause it's on me, it's sit on her waist. I'm the one, ain't no taking my place. If my body starving, they hang on my plate. If you willing, I know you relate. Can't get this by niggas we shot at. You smoking on bro, might die if you try that. Got me some bready, I move to official. But it's wish I could shoot at who with you. My bitch in their bag and my money ain't little.
Hey, I'm tryna fuck on that bitch, I'm bestie. I'm a rapper, she fuck around, let me. And this M bitch, fuck all the Chevys. You want some breeze cake, kick me a welly. You want that bitch for the rest of your life? I just wanna put dick in her belly. She let me hammer, she let me Nelly. Bring a little boyfriend here to Sally. Niggas be hoes, go up the road, get him a car, thinking he bold. Oh, now he gang, oh, now he broke. Y'all did a shooting, why did he fool? Hit your face on a lovely tool. Shit sad, he a lost soul. He don't get paid, he pay for shows. Got some shit you gon' think it explode. Ayy,
I'ma start trying to shine the limelight. Smoke a blunt, give me high, got my mind right, bro. Did a crime, then I'm blind by the eyesight. If you miss me again, we gon' try twice. Got me some birdie, I move to official. But it's wish I could shoot at who with you. My bitch in the bag and my money ain't little. I'm up a Chanel like I'm coming to get you. Bro need an app, I said not in a hurry. If you need it, I got you, don't worry. Cartier vision no longer be blurry. Don't pass it like Joker, the orders like Maury. Real shit next line, I'm not joking. My bro die, niggas die 'cause they smoking. For the bread, get 'em going, they be loafing. 12 gon' watch why the fuck is you.
What's goody, gang, gang, gang? Gang, 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 gang. What's good? It's good. It's good. It's cracking. We in the cut. Mobbed out. What's going on? Right. Hey, man. Say, man. What it say, man? What it say, man? What it do, man? What it do, baby? What it do? Ready. Right. So looking straight at this right now, look. Is this the spring? Is this really the spring? This would be very gold-like on a Sunday night to dump out, take basically the last previous 2 days worth of liquidity. In the process, like I said, in my eyes, this should be that spring, right? If this shit is going to go, right? In my eyes, no better place than basically here. We tapped 1910 too, right? So I like that 1910 area. But to me, just wherever we really bottom out of this, whether it's like here, to me, I'm really looking at it from the hourly. So the spring could be here, but we could still push a little bit deeper, right? To me, there's nothing really besides this 5-minute break of structure. Let's break above this previous high right here. Ideally, if this 5-minute structure respects, then to me, like, it should really continue to higher overall. Because like I said, with just how the market closed leading into the end of the week, I think we personally just would have taken the low on Friday, which we took the low basically right at the market open today. So I don't think we would have left that low if we were just going to take it on Sunday. So the reason why I say that is because we basically created more liquidity, more equal lows, and this is right above the area that we're really looking and identifying as this secondary test. Okay, so to me, like I said, this could potentially be the spring, but it's like still on the hourly, it's like it doesn't necessarily, like, this might not be the bottom, right? Like of this, like, we could still keep pushing down. Basically, wherever we get our first real break structure on, like, 15-minute, 30-minute out of this area is where I would then look for the flip. Because in my eyes, like I said, hourly accumulation wise, shit, kind of makes sense, right? But overall, right, if we're really just like, to me, overall right now, we're really setting up to just, like, we're just capturing liquidity. Everything we're doing right now to the downside is just capturing liquidity and filling in imbalances. So to me, if we're not really going to react out of here and we keep accumulating, right? So we could potentially see push higher, but at the same time, like, I don't think there's really, like, if we take this low today, I don't think there's really going to be too much stopping us from seeing price kind of make its way back down to just this weekly area. Just this candle in itself, I just want to see us kind of come back to, because it just doesn't make sense as to why we're breaking down, right? If we're not going to be targeting at least this area, right? We're not just going to magically reverse in this area. To me, the first area we could potentially reverse that is the IPA. But outside of that, there really isn't too many, like, potential, like, entry points or just targets or areas that I would really be looking at when it came down to getting in. Like I said, based off of just fundamentals that we look at how the market opens on Sunday, right? Sunday open, if you guys have followed my calls for just like the last little bit, or if you guys are veterans, you guys would know that Sunday open, I tell you guys, Sundays is my favorite day to trade gold, right? So if you guys wanted to take positions right now, I would enter with my stop below this low. So literally 8 pips, right? Stop below that low. And it's like, when I say stop below the low, it's like you have to account for spread too. If you're not accounting for spread, like, to me, if your spread is 4 pips, for example, like, if my stop loss, if I'm saying the stop loss is here, you have to count 4 extra pips, right? So your stop loss is actually going to be a little bit lower, okay? But if you're getting in basically here at the bottom, like, to me, you're not going to be, like, a 10 to 11 pip is going to be super safe. Realistically, about maybe like 8 or 9, you guys could be looking to risk. To me, at the very least, even if we're going to continue to go lower, I think we probably fill in some of this IPA here from Friday, right? Or at the very least, I think we'll just capture these highs. Like, I couldn't see us just continuing to dump without filling this in, whether we fill it in London session or later in New York session. Because if we continue to break down from here, like I said, I would expect this retracement back up here during a London and New York session. But overall, like I said, ideally what we would want to see out of here, based off of like right now, this 15-minute candle is about to come to a close. So the reason why this is significant is because this is also the beginning of a new 4-hour candle, right? So this new 10 o'clock candle just opened, which, like I said, is the beginning of this new 4-hour. Yeah, so just taking a look at how the beginning of this new 4-hour basically just punched down, like I said. Notice how we basically just wick right below this previous 4-hour wick again. That's basically all we did. Okay, I know this candle's timing is a little off in terms of, it says 2 hours ago. I know some of these brokers are weird, but ideally, if you're following like these candle opens and closes based off of like the 4-hour open just opening 15 minutes ago, ideally this first 15-minute candle, to me, like I said, on a smaller time frame wise, we shouldn't be really hanging around here after this first 15 to 30 minutes of this new 4-hour, right? Because what we're doing is basically, in terms of this new 4-hour candle, by us breaking down, we created that wick to the downside, right? So we offered those sells. So now that we offered the sells right at the beginning of this 4-hour candle, if we were to buy this market all the way up, there wouldn't be insufficient price action, right? It would be healthy because we sat here and we offered sells within this whole area, right? Even if we were to jump up, like to me, we're going to jump up to at least this high. The reason for that, right? If we break above this, we're going to jump all the way up to here. And the reason for that is just based off of, like I said, the fundamental understanding of just where price really is glued to. Right here we have equal highs, right? Already this wick right here filled in a previous imbalance. So the fact that we filled this imbalance right here, broke down, we couldn't make a new low, right? So the fact that we couldn't make a new low, what else is our confluence for even wanting to buy? Well, the 5-minute, right? The 5-minute break of structure. We closed above here. Like I said, we had this box marked up when it was at the top. You can see as soon as we get to the top of this imbalance, it reacts a little bit, then boom. This shit is so fractal. Like I said, if you guys just play the lowest area of these points of interest, more than likely you're going to get just a higher risk to reward, or you're going to have just a smaller stop loss. So like I said, even if we're wrong, like if this hits our stop loss, like I said, I give you the reason as to why. But even if it does, being able to sit here and enter, right, with a 10 pip, and that's being very conservative. That's like if you have trash spread, if your spread is like 4 pips, right, realistically it's going to be anywhere from 6 to maybe like 8 or 9 pips. So risking 8 pips to sit here and catch 70, right, which in reality this is really something that will happen in like 5 to 10, 15 minutes. Like this would really be like one solid like 15, 30-minute candle will have this TP hit, right? But at the same time, like I said, what we need to see and identify in the market is just those confirmations in terms of candle closes. Like I'll tell you one thing, right? If this candle doesn't close bullish, to me, I couldn't see this area working out. And the reason for that, the only reason that it could work out is if, yeah, I couldn't even see it really working out. But the only way that it could is if it kind of closes around here, like how it is right now. That's the only way I could see it going higher. But if it closes like bearish, actually closes lower, it's like, to me, that's not what you want to see, right? You don't want to see price come to this area and not get a reaction out of this area. It's not to say that we have to run right away. But if you sit here, for example, if we didn't get this wick, it would be concerning, right? But seeing this reaction right here, that's good, right? Seeing this wick, that's good. Because like I said, most people, the reason why their entries are trash is because instead of entering here, they enter up here. They enter at the top of this wick. Instead of entering down here, they enter up here. And you see how price just kind of came back into the middle, came back a little bit lower. But at the same time, if you entered up here, you're still in drawdown, right? But if you waited till price got closer to the bottom, like I said, you want to play as close to the bottom of the range as possible. Now you may have just been able to position yourself with not only a snipe entry, but now you have a tight ass stop loss, and this could potentially be a fucking seasonal bottom. You could hold this potentially till December. If it does what I've been fucking waiting for this shit to do, right? And to me, this is just a weird year because of everything that's going on in the economy, so I get it. Because other years have been a little bit more predictable. This year is just like, I don't know, man. Like, anything could fucking happen. Biden's in office, like, they arrested Trump. Like, who knows what's gonna happen right now with everything that's going on in the state of the world, right? There's just a lot of chaos. So to me, there's definitely a lot more unpredictableness in the actual world events, I guess you could say. But it doesn't matter on the charts. Like I said, news is just the excuse anyway. So you're going to be able to get the confirmation on the charts before the news even comes out. Like, we're going to know that big buys are coming on crypto and metals before it happens. And to me, like I said, this is our reason as to how we know, right? So realistically, overall, right? Overall, when it comes down to where I'm looking to target this, like I said, after this 1 to 10 target family, like, buckle up. Buckle the fuck up. Why do they say excuse my French? I was going to say that, but why did they say that? You know, does anyone ever excuse my French? Why is it not excuse my Spanish, right? Look, you saw it here first. What is this? A 1 to 104, okay? This is what we're looking for. If you close your full position before this 1 to 104, when it hits on 1 to 104, don't sit there and yo, cash, man, I closed it. I got scared. I don't care. I don't care, dummy. You're dumb, okay? To me, this should be the trade of the week. This should be the trade of the month. This should be the like. If we're right on the season, like I said, this should be the fucking bottom. All we're really probably going to do is come back and test price. But we're not even going to test the bottom. Even if we do test this bottom, which we absolutely could. Because if it's the bottom, just know some funky shit is about to happen, right? But if it's the bottom, boom. This is what's supposed to be happening, right? Is anybody in gold with me? Anybody in there, like, somewhere with me? I don't know if it's a trade of the century. I don't know about that. Gold would have to hit like it would have to hit like 2,000, like it would have to hit like 2,400. My best trade personally that I've ever held has been from like 1613 to like 2040. So it's like that's 4,000 pips. Or if you're a fucking idiot and you count pip wrong, you'll say that 40,000 pips. No, it's stupid. 4,000. in there, lovely. So you should be up a quick 10 pips, right? But you guys just see the accuracy, right? So overall, I didn't want to kind of do the lesson of why we were even looking at that as a spring before, because it was time sensitive. I wanted to be able to kind of just break this down. But now that we have this position, like I said, it's time to learn, okay? So, basically, right? When we sit here and we look at accumulation, like I said, I went over this lesson last week, but this is just going to be a quick little overview and just show you guys how the confluence was there and even just why we even attempted this. Like I said, if it's wrong, it's wrong. But it's like the reason why we're attempting it is because of identifying this phase C, this spring, okay? So initially, when it comes down to the hourly time frame, what we talk about all the time, right, is just when we first get that selling climax, okay, what we want to see ideally is a break above a previous lower high, right? And what's going to validate that selling climax is going to be just the fact that obviously we break that structure, which in this case, right, we close above this high, right, this previous lower high. So when we close above this previous lower high, what do we immediately do? We break down and we close below this selling climax, okay? So when we close below that selling climax, that is the start of phase B accumulation, right? That secondary test. So once we take the selling climax It's basically 3 pushes down. That's really what you gotta train your eyes to see. I don't know like what just snapped in my head like within the last like 2 years, but that's literally how I'm sitting here and I'm able to catch the spring in the test. It's just based off of that one fundamental. It's just like the 3 dips and the test, the 3 dips and the test, and it's just being able to identify where the selling climax is, because it's identifying the wrong selling climax then invalidates the secondary test in the spring. So if you just get one wrong, you're gonna get them all wrong. But in order to even know that this is this, the selling climax is a selling climax, in my eyes, you have to sit here and you have to fucking see the secondary test in phase B. So you won't even know that it's phase A until we're in phase B. That's basically what happens. Phase C is the first place where you can see, okay, boom, at this point, it's like, all right, this is the last time that we should push down. And at this point, what you want to see is a smaller time frame break of structure. Or you just want to wait for that test to come back and test that secondary test area, which is like in this case, right? Our secondary test would really be in here. So like you can see, we're not even here yet. We're not even at that stage yet of us coming back and testing this secondary test in terms of phase C test. So that's why in my eyes, right, being able to sit here and get that break of structure on the smaller time frame, right, is going to be ideally what gets you that entry basically at the spring, right, if you were to get it, right? So when we see here and we look at the secondary test, like I said, the secondary test typically is going to do what? It's going to start to create the bulk of the liquidity that we are, and like that we're really just setting up to take. So when we sit here and we identify, okay, this is that secondary test in phase B, because obviously we come in, we close below this selling climax. But look at the in-between. We just consolidate. We damn near consolidate, right? All we're doing is sitting here and trading within a range, right? We're going sideways. We're creating a support. We're creating a resistance. We're creating patterns. People are sitting here. They're buying this support. People are buying this resistance. They're selling that resistance up there. So people are using retail patterns that don't work, right? And obviously the M's and W's, head and shoulders, fucking all that retail bullshit is just used to generate liquidity. That's where the targets, like where we look to take profit, is where somebody's entering off of M and W and a head and shoulders, whatever the fuck it is called, right? So what you have to understand is that secondary test, like I said, is going to create that price that typically we're going to come take, because we're going to create targets, right? For example, boom, equal highs right here. That's a target. What do we have right here? Equal highs right here. What is that? A target. Okay, so being able to identify the targets is going to be what allows you to potentially then get those entries. And like I said, you want to observe the masses do the opposite, right? I feel like people have been trying to buy gold for like probably the last couple of weeks instead of selling it, not understanding that dollar was literally, like, the reason why I barely traded last week was because dollar was like, I needed to wait till the end of the week to see what dollar was going to do for me to even get that confirmation of like, okay, shit, like, what's going to happen, right? And even now, right, with this candle coming to a close at 10:30, right, this is not what you want to see at 10:30 in terms of the 15-minute and the 30-minute, right? Especially the 30-minute for it to engulf, right? Because if we engulf here, what you would probably expect to see, right, is price, basically the same box area that we're looking at for price that that we were looking for buys in. That's basically where price would now be targeting in terms of shorts, right? Because to me, this IPA was filled, right? Like I said, we have imbalance and insufficiency up here. But it's like, do we have to come fill that right now? Maybe not, right? We probably don't even fill that until maybe New York or deeper into London session, right? So even in terms of that, like I said, you want to see how this candle closes, and you don't want to be intimidated or shook. Like gold is the one currency and one indice or one commodity or thing that people trade that I often feel like they'll close a trade and then like 2 minutes later it was like in profit, and it's like not even they hit their stop loss, like they just closed it because they were scared, and then it poof, flew. And gold is like notorious for doing that. So what I've learned to do is just let my trades, like if I take a trade and the hourly, it's about to end in the hourly, right? For example, in this case, in the 30 minutes about to end, it looks so ugly, right? A minute ago, and I told you if it closed below there, that's not what we would want to see. And I showed you what to look for to validate sells, right? But now the fact that we're popping up, right? we get this wick. Now this is just a wick. This isn't a crazy body to the downside. So this looks a lot more like, I feel confident in holding this. Like, if we closed bearish the way that we did, I would have just closed my trade with a small profit. But now this makes me confident to just hold it to my stop loss, right? So that's kind of how my thought process of how I can reduce the risk of trades, like, while I'm in it. Because to me, I don't like to break even early, right? Because what if you just entered off this lowest point and you just broke even, you would have your stop loss hit to have price back up to where it basically was before. And it's just like, it's redundant to have to go through that cycle over and over and over and over again, right? And to me, there's not really a lot of news until Tuesday. So I think that we could really, the fact that we took the low to start the week, I think that we could get a lot of bullishness to start the week. Then by Tuesday, by the time news kicks in, maybe that's when we start to see a little bit of retracement to fill to the downside to then continue higher, right? So overall, like I said, I'm looking longs. I'm looking at this as the potential spring, right? And you heard it here first, 1 to 100. We're targeting 2001, right? 2003 area. Just past 2000, that's where we're looking to target, right? Price is currently at 1911.33. Like I said, if this play works out even to just 1918, that's a 1 to 8, right? 1 to 8 is pretty dope. And just being able to do that, like I said, it's just having the confidence to know that, okay, this could potentially be a longer term trade, but I'm going to pay myself along the way just in case, you know, it comes and hits me break even or whatever the case may not. But like I said, looking at this right now, I feel like I'm going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be a good day. I already felt like this is going to be a good week. I feel like gold is going to be the blessing this week for sure when it comes down to what to expect in terms of just movement, right? Let's take a look at the dollar. Because the dollar after Friday, I was praying that we drop, but I still think we could drop. Like I said, I'm not really tripping too much. We closed above this. Yeah, weekly we closed above that POI that we were initially looking at, but daily wise, to me, I would still be like, it's still in a valid point of interest to me. We just filled this full imbalance. We're coming back up to this last daily up candle before we actually drove price down and obviously just got that bearish close. Looking at the dollar too, I really think that we could still break down. Like I said, I feel like that bullishness towards the ending of the week was just to shake out people who bought early on XXX USD, right? And to shake out the people on the flip who sold, right? Or maybe people were buying USD XXX, right? So to me, it was just hitting out those early sellers, early buyers, depending on what side of the market you were looking to get onto. But overall, like I said, when it comes down to commodities, we're looking for bullishness. Crypto looks like I said, overall on the daily, we've been just anticipating price to just start breaking itself down. Overall, like I said, I anticipate lower Bitcoin, lower Ethereum. How low, who knows, but to me it would make a lot of sense to kind of start filling some insufficiencies. And I still don't think that this is even the bottom that we had hit previously, right, in like November last year. Because basically, if you bought crypto in like November last year, you're basically up like 100%, right? A little bit more, maybe a little bit less, depending on where you bought, right? If you bought from like basically the low of December last year, you'd be up like 80%, right? Ethereum, a little bit less, right? So you'd be up maybe like 70%, right? It almost did about 100% in terms of ROI and what your return on investment would have been from obviously that low point. So it's just interesting to see, like I said, all of these things kind of play out, and just having the bias, like I said, when it comes down to this, in my opinion, to validate this as a spring, this is what you would want to see, right, in terms of this spring. So 2 bullish candles right now. If this candle closes bullish, obviously this would be second. But what you would want to see, family, is 3 to 7 bullish candles close consecutively to the upside. So we would want to see 3 bullish candles close straight in a row. Okay. The second thing that would really give us a lot of confirmation to me would be this close above all of this structure. But I really want to see us close above here, because To me, if we don't close above 1918, we're going to drop, right? Because I didn't short this last week, but if you guys were on the calls when we bought, right? Because listen, we bought the bottom. We bought here, and I told you if we don't break above here, we're going to drop. That's why 1919 was the first TP area, and it's like people that didn't TP were salted because a lot of people just bought, didn't make any money. I know I would have been salted. I bought here, took profit as we came into here. Price dumped back down. I got back in, and then that's when I didn't take profit because I'm like, all right, cool. I already made my money. I'm going to break even, right? So I ended up waking up break even, salted, right? And then price took this low. So this was the one thing too. Like I said, Sundays typically are going to be the best times to trade gold because most people are. I don't know who told you guys not to trade Sundays, but whoever told you to trade Sundays doesn't trade. That's all I'm going to tell you, right? They don't trade. They're an idiot. So just being able to trade Sundays, like I said, has allowed me to catch the top and bottom of seasonal swings because typically if we're about to reverse, for example, and we just started to reverse at the end of last week, the beginning of the new week is basically going to like sweep the opposite side, the people who got in a little bit late. They're going to hit all those people out. And then they're going to continue to drive price down while it's just not as volatile. So that's typically why Sunday, like today would be one of those days where I wouldn't even be surprised if price doesn't really come back at all. Like truthfully, like I said, if we're really looking at this from accumulation standpoint, it's like we're really not going to have to come back lower than this area. Right, once we break above this secondary test in phase B, we're not going to have to go much lower than that to test. And if you really look at the wicks already formed, like we're already creating that healthy price action in here. So if we were to fly, hypothetically, it would be healthy price action. It wouldn't be insufficient. There wouldn't be imbalances, right? Because why? There was sells offered in here, right? Imbalances were filled in there. So that's just food for thought too when it comes down to XAU USD. Like I said, I don't really like to focus on a lot. To me, the indices obviously we like to take a look at during New York. This scares me. This just scares me because some crazy shit's about to happen. This is actually insane. This is like literally like we've been moving sideways. So US 30 scares me, right? But overall, what it's looking like more or less that it's going to do, it looks like the bearish movement is just a lot cleaner when it comes down to the liquidity sweep and just confirming the structure. Overall, right, like I said, we've been creating lower lows, like this lower low. Since we've made this point, like I said, we've really sat here and started a counter trend. You might look at this as, oh, yo, Cash, this is a break of structure. This, to me, just wouldn't be a valid break of structure, and the only reason for that is because, like I told you, mitigation, right? Sometimes we're going to come back more than one time. So when I look at this area, these consecutive up candles before we drove price down to make a new lower low, what did we notice with that area? Well, we came back and we mitigated here. Then what? Made a lower low. What did we do? We came back up into this area. Where does this area line up with? Still this same area. What do we then do? Make a lower low. Right? Then what do we do? Foop. Got a little counter trend, little break here, test. Then boom, continuation. But look at where we came to again. This same area. Right? We didn't close above this area. So we mitigated out of the earlier parts of this institutional area. But then we also came back to the top of this area. And then immediately since then, in my eyes, this bearish structure has maintained, and we've really just been filling insufficiency and getting that continuation clean. Okay? So overall, what I would look to potentially see, just because it looks like we really set this up fairly clean. So looking at this, it looks like we have equal highs. We have some liquidity right here. Because remember, I'm not live tomorrow, so if I were you guys, I would fucking mark this shit up too. So I'd be looking for this imbalance to get filled on the 15-minute on US 30. Obviously, just depending on what price action is like prior to that point. But if we just kind of continue where we're at right now, I would expect probably a New York session when obviously the stock exchange open, so I would expect to see these highs get taken. Like I said, we have this insufficiency in here that aligns with our institutional area, right? These last consecutive candles that drove price up before obviously continuing down, maintaining that bearish structure. So that's really ideally what I'm looking for US 30. For NAS, what you doing, cuz? NAS, in my eyes, looks bearish too. Looks a little bit more bearish than 30 in terms of like where we're at in retrospect to the like range. Overall, I would say this would be targeted. Like this would be a target for NAS. This is what I'd be looking for. So to me, this is where we talk about NAS being kind of the lagger most of the time. So in my eyes, I feel like NAS is a little behind because we haven't quite come back up here to fill just really anything. Once we made this new lower low here, we got this little pop back up, right? You can count this as that lower high, right? But to me, this is really the lower high that I would be playing off of that would validate just that break of structure, in my opinion, right? Because overall, we've been really maintaining that bearish structure since then. So ideally, we do have liquidity in here. But now it's just a matter of just seeing what takes place because I guess you could say we have a little bit of lows right here as well, which it looks like we're taking. So we could potentially see ourselves take these lows and then maybe we start to see ourselves accumulate, right? On the 15-minute time frame, right? On the 5-minute time frame. On the 15-minute, it looks like maybe. Yeah, what I would anticipate in terms of 5-minute, it looks like accumulation, right? And in my eyes, I would want to see this low get taken. So once this low gets taken, that ideally would be our spring. And then from that point, what I would look for is like a 5-minute break of structure. So if you don't understand, basically what I'm saying is what we're anticipating, right, is this area, this black line, is the area that we're identifying as a secondary test, right, in phase B, right? In my eyes, I'd be looking at this as that selling climax, right, on the 5-minute, right? So we have our selling climax, we have our secondary test, and ideally, like I said, a push below this low would more than likely be our spring. And to be able to then position yourself, I would just look for like a 1-minute break of structure, or a 3-minute, or like a 5-minute break of structure, something along the lines of that. Because like I said, ideally, like I said, that selling climax is going to pop up. It's going to break above a previous lower high or just a previous like institutional area, right? An area where there's consecutive buy candles before we drive price down to make a new low or vice versa, right? On the flip side. So what you can really sit here and see is that secondary test, okay? Like I said, is going to be below that selling climax. But like I said, we closed above this previous lower high. The reason why this is a lower high is because once we made this lower low, we wicked up, and then we proceeded to make a new lower low. So this would be that temporary one. This wouldn't really be one that I'd validate, and I would look for buys off of that. But that's what I look for when we're breaking down this accumulation. Like I said, accumulation is one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people lose. Because people sit here and they play break of structure. They see something like this. Then they try and buy out of this area. Right? So they try and buy out of this box. And then what ends up happening? Price just dumps below here. Right? And then what do? They end up buying it here, buying it here, buying it here, wherever they end up buying late. And then what ends up happening? Price comes and dumps, right? And then they're like, all right, it has to react out of this area, right, Cash? It has to react out of this area. And then your dumbass gets clapped out because now this dumps below this area. And what does it do? It forms that spring. And that spring is literally... The spring, they make it look cute here. They make it seem like your spring is going to be, oh, boom, it's just going to... little love tap. No, you're fucking smoking. I don't know what you're smoking if you think the spring is not gonna sit there and wax you out. Like I'm talking like big wicks, like big impulsive wicks. Like, I like the fact that we're kind of watching this right now, because like I said, you can see how we just stalled out, then boom, dumped. And I guarantee we stall out, and we're gonna dump. I bet you in the next 5 minutes we dump. Below this low. And once we dump below that low, shit, we might be able to sit here and find an entry on NAS, right? Depending on if we could find a break of structure. But this is ideally like how I go about identifying the accumulation. It's being able to sit there and identify, okay, are we just looking for accumulation just for the sake of looking for accumulation, or does it make sense for us to be accumulating in this area? Because we could accumulate on the 5 minute, and like I said, we're not looking to see it go higher. We're looking for accumulation to identify, shit, could we position ourselves in a potential buy to then sell, whether we sell it up here, whether we sell it down here. So that's the way that we have to kind of gauge and look at it when we're taking in the perspective of what's happening. Because like I said, when it comes down to the 5 minute, this right now, ideally we should see push below this low, and this would then be what? That's spring. Okay? So let's see if we get that break below there. Are we rich on gold? About to be. So gold, if you guys could see, like this is the reaction that you want to see. You see how we're wicking. Like this is why I'm telling you, like you get a couple entries, you get a couple chances to enter at that fire entry, which we did. Like I said, we had this area marked up. If you guys tuned into the stream late, I saw a bunch of you guys just tap in late. I don't know where you guys got the link from, but you know, welcome. But if you guys missed, you guys could go back and watch the beginning of the stream, and you guys could kind of see like how and why we were even looking at this particular area to begin with, and how we were able to position ourselves. Because drop it 888 if you guys are in gold with me right now, right? You guys should be up 15 pips, right? 15 pips. But to me, what is more impressive is how small our stop loss was and the fact that we had no drawdown. That is more impressive than being up any dollar amount, any amount of pip amount. Like, to me, this is what we look for. Because like I said, a lot of people right now look for mentorship, and it's like mentorship to me is being able to teach people an understanding of what the potential is. Like, to me, I give you the potential of how we could lose, but then also how we could win. But the confidence that I have, like I said, I'm giving you the reality of how we could lose, but I'm not sitting here and tripping over the fact that I could lose. Why? Because before we get into a trade, we should accept the risk factor. So if I already knew I'm getting into this trade and I'm risking 8 pips, I can't be upset, and I can't even be surprised if the 8 pip stop loss hits, because I knew what I was getting myself into before I started, right? So for all of you guys dropping 8s, like, shout out to you guys. Like I said, this is, to me, the potential start of a longer term hold, and all we're going to be able to do in order to be able to confirm that is fucking wait. Like, that's the beautiful thing about trading. The transfer of wealth in trading is simply from the impatient to the patient. Impatient motherfuckers over leverage, blow their accounts, try and get in right away, try and get in too late, and do all of that. The patient people sit here and they wait, right? The patient people, they sit here and they wait like cash, you know, get hit out, make a little 0.5% on Friday after being up. I could have closed probably like 6 or 7%, but I didn't, right? I closed a little bit and then broke even, right? And the reason for that is because I knew that something was coming either Sunday, Monday. So I'm like, okay, well, why waste money trying to sit here and get in early? Because, like, I did have one last position that I was holding. I just forgot, right? Like, it just didn't hit my stop loss. My stop loss was at 19.12, right? You could see it hit like 19.12.20. So I had one position in. I lost like $50 right at the market open today. But that's pennies, right? That's pennies. The rest of my position got hit up, which is amazing, because to me, if it didn't, I actually would have been salted, because the swap would have been pretty ugly, right? But just even taking a look at this, like I said, it's just fractal when it comes down to what we look for. It's either, you know, price is going to do what we anticipate, or it's going to, you know, damn near do the opposite, right? Even with this, it's like we're getting a little bit of reaction out of here. It's like, don't check yourself before you wreck yourself. You know, we definitely could pop. But based off of this, like I said, I would want to see personally another low get made, right? It looks like we might be running right now, but to me, I wouldn't be surprised if we literally tap off this candle and melt below this low, like literally, right? In terms of just like algorithm fills and what we look for, that's ideally what should take place in my eyes. Maybe we pop a little bit higher before we take that low, but ideally to me, this is setting up for that phase C, right? This is setting up for you potentially to get that spring, or maybe right above the spring, but then the safer entry, right, the test. With that coming back to the secondary test in phase B and the selling climax in phase A. That's why those are the most important parts to be able to identify, because the spring, most of you are not going to get it at the spring, right? It's going to take you a little while to be able to identify even potentially where spring areas can be. And even if you identify where the area could be, still you're not guaranteed to catch the lowest point. But what you can look for is a break of structure. What you can look for is just a few smaller confluences that are then going to give you that confidence to be able to take the particular position. Okay? So, yeah. In terms of that, family, I really think that this is going to be just something that we could potentially, like I said, right now, even in terms of the 15-minute, like this is the re-entry. Like I said, 15-minute, 30-minute, and this is that selling climax, or that secondary test, right? So for us to come back down now, this is basically going to be it. Like I said, there really shouldn't be too much lower that we come back down to. But in terms of that, family, I'm going to be live on Tuesday. If you guys are in the mentorship chat or the bootcamp chat, I'm just going to basically update the trade, like I said, as we go. You guys heard it here first. We're looking at a 1 to 104. Okay. If you guys are in right now, and you guys obviously are not looking to wait till that 1 to 104 to take some profits and pay yourself, that's gravy. Because what I would do is simply just look to pay myself more or less in this area, about 1921 to 1922. Okay, so that would be about a 1 to an 11 if you were able to position yourself ideally in that area that we discussed at the bottom. If you entered a little bit higher, then no worries. It'll probably still be closer to like a 1 to 7. But next time, just ideally do your best to try and get in these areas, right? This box would have been the best area to get in. And look at how long we were there for. We were in this box for 15, 30, 45. We were basically the whole call we were in this box, right? To give you guys a re-entry. And towards the ending of the hour is finally where we started to get this push. They gave us that confirmation. Like I said, this is why it's important. It hit different when you do your homework on the 4-hour candles and you don't get psyched out by what happens at the beginning of a new 4-hour candle. Okay? So in terms of that, family, I love and I appreciate you guys. And I look forward to catching you guys on Tuesday. We're going to be live in the morning. Catch you guys, fam. Peace.